They are moving on every front, and we believe they're going to stage terror attacks unless we expose it. And that's the main reason Charlie Sheen has gone public with his 20 minutes with the president, written as if he met with him, so people will then go and read the article and see why Charlie wants to meet with him and the evidence he'd like to present. Because he does want to have a meeting with the president, and he's asking other people to go public. And a lot more is coming up throughout the week. I'm going to read 20 minutes with the president coming up here in just a few minutes. But before I do that, a lot of people have requested this, so I'm just going to air about 10 minutes of it. Then I'm going to read 20 minutes with the president, then get into all the economic news and open the phones up. But I want to go ahead and just play a little bit of that first interview from April of 2006. We played one of the CNN clips earlier. Here is part of that interview from prisonplanet.tv with Charlie Sheen. I got a lot of people emailing me saying this isn't even Charlie Sheen in the letter, and that Charlie Sheen has never been on this show. There's a lot of disinfo going on out there. Yes, Charlie Sheen's been on the show. So is Willie Nelson. So is Jesse Ventura, all these other people. Yes, he's a 9/11 truther. Yes, this is huge, and I'm going to explain why it's huge after we air a few minutes of this. Here it is. He's been in over 65 major motion pictures, produced them, written them, from Platoon to Red Dawn, one of my favorites. And, of course, TV shows like Spin City. Right now he's the major star on the CBS program 2.5 Men. And he's got several new movies coming out this year and next year. And when I got a chance to talk to Charlie Sheen, I was just amazed, because I've talked to a lot of other big Hollywood people. We've had a few of them on this show. And, you know, they call me up sometimes, say, hey, you're doing a great job, or I'm buying 50 copies of your video. And I'm like, no, here, just take it. And but they're not as informed, I have to be honest, as Charlie Sheen. I mean, I talked to this guy like an hour and a half yesterday, and he just really knows what's going on the planet today. But that shouldn't surprise me. His father, Martin Sheen, has been on the front lines. As Mark Twain said in the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man, hated and feared and scorned. But in time, when his cause succeeds, the timid join him, because then it cost nothing to be a patriot. And, of course, it's been proven right time and time again. It was his father in the days leading up to the war that was the most vocal spokesman in America against this disastrous conflict. And everything he said has now come true. And, of course, Charlie Sheen and his brother are also activists in their own right, and we are just incredibly honored to have Charlie Sheen on with us for the balance of this hour. Mr. Sheen, good to have you with us.
Nice to be here, Alex. How are you?
I'm great. Mr. Sheen, you have some questions about the official 9/11 story, and we got hooked up because we both mutually have been looking into that.
Sure.
And I want to just, I guess, start by what happened on 9/11, what your instincts told you, and really just go from there.
Well, it was interesting, and let me just preface that by saying that I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I've been following you, and I've seen all of your documentaries, and your research is tireless, and it's interesting because a lot of these guys, you sort of look behind the notes and you start to discover inconsistencies in a lot of the claims that they're making, which pretty much torpedoes the credibility of most of their substance. But with you, that's not the case. And I was always amazed to see that you always had hard data to back up your claims. And so, you know, this was tough for me because for the longest time I've been doing my own independent research, and you know, I don't claim to be an expert in any of these fields, but just as a concerned, upstanding, tax-paying American citizen, there's just there's questions I have that I wish somebody could explain away for me. There's things that one will view and then look at the Keene Commission's official report, and it just, as I heard somebody once say, might have been you, there's holes in the story you could fly a Boeing jet through.
Oh, there certainly is. In fact, we were talking yesterday, and you said over the phone that the biggest conspiracy theory is the official story. I mean, at every point, it's a fabrication. It's a lie. Would you elaborate on that?
Well, yeah, it's like they want to just pigeonhole all of us into this group of conspiracy nutbags when we're not really debating things that are related to UFOs bringing down the towers or Building 7 or the Pentagon, right? And so it's just, it just feels like, there's things in there that we're not the conspiracy theorists on this particular issue. It seems to me like 19 amateurs with box cutters taking over 4 commercial airliners and hitting 75% of their targets. That feels like a conspiracy theory.
Well, I tell you, back in 2001, everybody admits that cell phones didn't work over 3,000 feet. How were they working at 33,000, 32,000 feet? How did Al-Qaeda make NORAD stand down? Did Al-Qaeda call Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco, as the Chronicle reported, and say, don't fly to New York? No, the White House did. Did Al-Qaeda call Salman Rushdie and say, don't fly to New York on September 11th? No, the Times of London reported that the White House did. Did Al-Qaeda run drills, CIA and Pentagon drills on the morning of 9/11 of hijacked jets hitting those exact same targets at those exact same times, and then drills the day before and drills 2 weeks before?
Yeah, the answer to that would be probably not. But no, it's just the more you look at stuff, especially specific incidents, specific events in or around the fateful day, it just raises a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions, and I know that a couple of years ago it was severely unpopular to discuss any of this. But it sort of feels like, just in my research and in the people that I talk to and in and around my circles, it seems like the worm is turning. Because you start talking about this, even with conservative Republicans, and they can't really debate away some of the most obvious facts on that day.
Let me ask my radio producer a question. Did you find that clip of Dan Rather? Let me just roll this little 30-second clip, because this is what Dan Rather thought about 20 seconds after Building 7 collapsed. They backed the tape up and played it, and this is what he said live. Go ahead and roll it.
And again, what you're seeing are high shots. Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself. Describe that. Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building. It's amazing. Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the 3rd time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
All right, so there's Dan Rather, and that's what I thought that morning. That's what engineers, the heads of engineering colleges, that's what a lot of people said. Charlie, what did you think on that morning?
Well, where do we start? I was up early, actually, and we were going to do a pre-shoot on Spin City, the show I used to do. And so, gosh, I was up and I was watching the news, and the North Tower was burning. And so, the world was focused on what I guess they were assuming to be pilot error, right, or some tragedy nobody could really explain. And so I saw the South Tower hit live. That famous wide shot where it disappears behind the building, and then we see the tremendous fireball, and there was a feeling that it just didn't look, how do I say this, didn't look like any commercial jetliner I've flown on any time in my life. And then when the buildings came down, later on that day, I was with my brother. I was at my parents' house, and we were out on the deck. And I said, "Hey, call me insane, but did it sort of look like those buildings came down in a controlled demolition?" And he said, "Well, kind of, but gosh, that's impossible if you think about what it would take for them to orchestrate that." And so, as the days and the weeks went on, I was sort of told what to believe, and I was told through mainstream media and all of the talking heads about what really happened.
Now, Charlie, when the press, you know, here's your interview, if they think it's radical that you thought it looked like explosives, they better go talk to Dan Rather, then the host of CBS Nightly News. And we also have a clip of Peter Jennings saying the exact same thing twice. So
exactly.
He says it looks like bombs. So I guess they'll have to dig up poor Peter Jennings and gripe at him for thinking the same thing that you and I thought.
Of course, but what bothers me even more about all of this is that all of this stuff exists from day one. If you start looking at all of the news reporting after day one, the official story starts to find its way into our consciousness.
They start telling us the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theorists in the government start telling us their wild-eyed conspiracies.
Exactly. And so we all go away from what we felt in our gut initially.
Charlie Sheen, stay right there. We've got a break. We'll be right back. Folks, strap yourselves in.